Hey, what is up guys, it's Galaxy Tech Doddle here, coming at you guys today with a brand new deck profile, well, not new, but updated deck profile for you guys. I haven't done Cyber Dragons in, I think, 5 months. That's when Cybernetic Horizon came out. And the deck has drastically changed, so I want to profile that again, basically. This is basically the only deck I really want to play nowadays. It's my favourite deck. And yeah, so I took this exact list to my locals twice in a row, and I ended up second at the end of Swiss and 4th place after top 4. So yeah, I'll explain that a bit later on. But yeah, getting into the profile, so running lineup of 10 Cyber Dragons, so 3 Cyber Dragon, 3 Cyber Dragon Core, 3 Cyber Dragon Hertz, and 1 Cyber Dragon Veer. Honestly, I feel this is the most optimal. 1 Veer is all you really need. The other 3 is very self-explanatory. Like those are the best Cyber Dragons you can run. Veer is kind of there just to chain block Core and just to be another name to draw. The more total names you run, the higher chance you have of seeing at least one of them, which, you know, is good. Then our honorary Cyber Dragon. 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier. This card is amazing with Hertz and just in general, extending your plays and everything. Then 1 copy of the Kaiju, Jizukiru, because seeing people's faces drop when they build their board and then I either just drop this or I search it and then drop it is quite funny. I used this quite a few times to out very problematic cards on boards. So yeah. Then I'm only running 1 hand trap in the form of 3 Ash Blossom, 1 kind of hand trap anyway. So I felt these were the only ones that I really needed. There were times where I wish I'd had something that was basically impermanence, but I didn't own impermanence at the time of taking this to my locals. So yeah, these were very good. I drew them as much as I really wanted to, and they did well. I don't think I ever needed another hand trap in this deck. So that does it for the monster lineup. For the spell lineup, I am running, very contrary to other deck profiles that I've been seeing floating around the internet, I'm running 3 copies of Overload Fusion. I really love this card, and I love Rampage, and I just love how this basically capitalizes on all the resources in your graveyard. And brings out your Game Ender, which is also an extender if you're forced to go first or if you can't go for game. Rampage is a level 5, and it also dumps things into the graveyard like El Shaddoll Construct, so it's very good. So yeah, I loved seeing this card. It didn't break for me, being at 3, and it really helped me to OTK, really reinforced it. Then 3 copies of Machine Duplication, because this card is just insane. Nothing more to say really. We have 2 targets for it. Come April we'll have 3 targets for it. What else is there to say really? Then 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. This card is also insane, just searching out Core or Hertz or whatever you need. Sometimes I've even searched out Veer with this card just so I can chain block Core and make Ziga very easily. Then 2 copies of Cyber Repair Plant. Again, this is really good, but having this at 3 and drawing multiples of this alongside any number of copies of Cyber Emergency can sometimes be quite detrimental. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever really want to run this at more than 2. I've tried running it at 3 before. It just doesn't work out quite the same. Then 1 copy of Cyber Rev System. This is a great card, especially when you use it on Ziga. It makes it very difficult out if you don't have a Kaiju, or if you don't have Chimera Tech in your extra deck. So it's a very good card. Sometimes I wish I saw more of it, but I was quite content with running just the 1 of it. And likewise with Cyberload Fusion. Sometimes I wish I could have seen more of it, because there are more than one instances. There's more than one instance in this deck where I have banished things from the field or graveyard and just wanting to be able to put them back. But like, honestly, once this has been used, I don't usually feel I need to see it again, which is why it's at 1. Then two of the more iffy cards that I run in this deck. 2 copies of Pot of Desires. There is a lot of argument for and against this. The deck is very prone to bricking sometimes. It's just a flaw of the archetype. But at the same time, being a very combo-heavy deck and relying very heavily on Cyber Dragon, you sometimes really don't want this card in the deck. There are quite a few instances where, not during the locals that I went to themselves, but during testing, where I have banished 2 copies of Cyber Dragon, and that has just lost me the game because, you know, with nothing for the machine dupes, which I usually draw into with these, it just makes it really subpar, and it makes that draw 2 very, very bad. So yeah, once I get the second copy of Impermanence, these are coming out, and Impermanence is going in, because it's a much better card and a very good hand trap. So yeah. Then 2 copies of Called by the Grave. This is a very good card. It just really helps you. If they don't ash your core, which they shouldn't, they'll try ashing your machine dupe, and which you can just say no, and hope that they don't have Ghost Bell. Then 1 Foolish Burial. I added this back into the deck because sometimes it does get you to a card. There was a point where I was running a Brilliant Fusion version of this deck, which basically had half of the deck getting you to a Cyber Dragon in some way. However, there was then the issue of running a Garnet, which I'm prone to drawing. But yeah, this card is very good. It gets you to Hurts if you have nothing else, or just makes your Repair Plant live. So yeah. That rounds off the spells. Lastly, the traps. There aren't that many, but there are 3 copies of Evenly Matched, because this card is just such a great blowout card. And there has been an instance where I've been, I think it was an Altergeist player, decided to try and destroy this for some bizarre reason. And because he destroyed it, I had no cards left, so he ended up having his whole board banished face down instead of just being left with 1 card, which was quite funny. However, I did still lose that game because I just lost the die roll and back row decks. But yeah. Then lastly, 2 copies of Cybernetic Overflow. This is a great card, really very pivotal in the mirror match, along with the Chimera Tech Twins. So yeah, sometimes I've felt where I need a third of it, but a third would definitely clog in my opinion, so 2 is a good number, especially when you can search it. And also, drawing 2 is not always that much of a problem, because if you use 1 but then the other is destroyed, you still get a search for a new one, and if this is destroyed while face down, you can search for another copy of itself, along with any other Cyber spell or trap card. So yeah, it's a very good card. Yeah, I was very happy with this lineup. For the most part, the only thing I would change, as I've said before, is the Pot of Desires, which, once I get my second Impermanence, I will be changing the Pot of Desires for Impermanence. So yeah. Then, for the extra deck, I'm running 4 Link Monsters, 5 Xyz, and 6 Fusions. For the Link Monsters, I'm running 1 Ziga and 1 Genius for my Link 2s. Ziga is basically comes out way more than Genius. Genius is just there in case I need another Link to play against Sky Strikers, or if I don't draw into a Cyber Dragon monster to make this, basically. But yeah, this is very good in its own right, but Ziga is usually the go-to play. I'm running 1 copy of Summon Sort because this card is just an insane extender. It makes the Nightmare Griffin combo, basically, but it also helps you extend your board just beyond the point that you realistically should. It extends the ceiling of this deck quite a bit. Then lastly, 1 Griffin, because this is this plus Griffin plus Infinity is just a very good board, especially if this has been summoned with Rev System, and if you can get a copy of Cybernetic Overflow face down as well. It just makes a very good board if you are forced to go first. Then 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nova. This is a very good card, I love it. Just such a good extender, and it also helps you, well, it is the way that you make your Infinity in the deck, which is just your very bog standard monster. Most people hate this card. rightly so. It's a great card. Then 1 copy of Pleiades for the last Xyz monster. I feel this is very pivotal in the mirror match as well. My locals does have a lot of Cyber Dragon players, but the first time I took this exact build to locals, I had 2 mirror matches and I won both of them 2-0. Mainly being able to just outplay them, but also because Pleiades not falling into the trap of making a huge board of machines and being very smart about how I search the cards. Then onto the fusions. I'm running 2 Mega Fleet and 1 Fortress for the Chimera Tech Twins. These cards are great. Great spot removal, especially Mega Fleet. I don't think I have ever wanted more than 1 Fortress, and Mega Fleet at 2 is just a perfect number, I feel. I don't feel there's games ever go on long enough that I'd need a 3rd Mega Fleet. Then 2 copies of Rampage, largely the unsung hero sometimes, but yeah, this is a great card. This is basically El Shaddoll Construct on crack. You can get so much advantage with this by just dumping stuff into the graveyard, fueling another Overload Fusion, fueling your Cybernetic Overflow, making Hertz live, putting Core in grave if you need it, and then also attacking for game with this plus Cyber Dragon Ziga on board just makes 3 times 40, 200, so it's a very good card. Then lastly, this has never come out, but there is always, the chance has always been there because of Cyberload, is 1 copy of Cyber Twin Dragon. This is just here in case I need the extra muscle, if I want to if I just need to extend into the battle phase, and push for game. I can't do it with this because the effect has to be done during main phase 2. That's why this is here, because this just doesn't do anything. It doesn't activate or anything like that. It just attacks. So yeah. As I said, this has never come out, but it's there just so that I can make it if I need to. I'm sure there will be a chance to make it at one point or another. But yeah, that just about brings me to the end of the main deck. For the extra deck, not the extra deck, the side deck, I will go into this one because it did come into play a little bit. I'm playing 3 Inspector Border. These never went into the deck. I don't think there was anyone at locals that this would have been good against. 1 copy of Artifact Scythe to go along with the 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum. These cards were my MVP of the side deck. I don't think there was a single match really that didn't involve extra deck cards where I didn't side this in. This especially came into play during my Cyber Dragon mirrors. During my first Cyber Dragon mirror, I actually drew this and none of these, but my opponent twin twisted it and it just locked them out the extra deck, and that is how I stole game 2 really. During my other Cyber Dragon matchup, my board got evenly matched, so I didn't have a chance for this really. But there have also been times in the past where I've stopped things like Gemini FTK dead in their tracks with this lineup as well. I don't think I would ever want to take these out my side deck as long as extra deck oriented decks exist. So yeah. Then 3 Twin Twisters to deal with that pesky back row. Also 3 Gozen Match. This has gone in a couple of times from my extra, but I've never seen these. The one time I did put these in, I just banished them all with Desires. The Twin Twisters have actually seen a lot of play because I have a very horrible habit of going against the one Paleo player and my locals. The last time I went to locals, I went against him twice, once during Swiss, and then he knocked me out of top 4. So that was really something. Then 2 Red Reboot to round off that. I've also seen these in quite a plentiful number. We do have 2 Altergeist players at my locals, and as I said, we have a Paleo player as well. So yeah. The first time I took this deck to locals, I ended up having 2 Cyber Dragon mirrors, and I also ended up having an Altergeist matchup, and I can't remember the other matchup for the life of me, but I ended up... Oh, Sky Striker, that was my only loss that day, and I ended up in the top 4, but I did have to leave for personal reasons. During the last locals I went to with this deck, I also went up against Dinosaur. That was my only loss during Swiss. Went up against Paleo and Zephyra. There were only 3 rounds because there were not that many people that day. In top 4, I then ended up going against the same Paleo player I previously beat, and that was just a hilarious game. I ended up ultimately losing that to time, but yeah, it was very fun playing this deck, and I've had a blast playing it ever since Cybernetic Horizon came out, and I am massively looking forward to Cyber Dragon Nashta coming out in April. So yeah, if you enjoy the deck profile, don't forget to leave a like and a comment any improvements you have. Obviously, I will be taking out the Pot of Desires for Infinite Impermanence when I get my second. So yeah, peace out.